Have you ever tried to apply the law of attraction to attract money? Repeated affirmations. Visualized your bank account full, but deep down it seemed that the more you tried, the further prosperity slipped away. Abraham Hicks teaches that abundance is not in magic formulas or in excessive effort, but in an invisible alignment that most people never realize they are breaking. The problem is not the desire nor the universe being against you, but three invisible mistakes that completely block the natural flow of wealth. These mistakes are so common that almost every seeker of the law of attraction has made them without even noticing. Today I will reveal what these three fatal errors are, and more importantly, how to correct them immediately so that abundance can finally find space in your life. I know how frustrating it is to desire an abundant life and at the same time feel the anguish of not seeing anything move. That feeling of helplessness can make you believe the law of attraction does not work for you. But the truth is that small adjustments change absolutely everything. And that is what I'm going to guide you through right now. And if you want to keep receiving secrets revealed by the greatest masters of the law of attraction, subscribe now. This is just the beginning. The first mistake that blocks abundance is not the lack of desire, but the silent enemy that installs itself between what you ask and what you allow. Insecurity. It is sneaky, almost imperceptible, but every time you dream of prosperity and immediately think, what if it doesn't work? You send the universe the opposite order of your request. It is as if, when planting a seed, you poured both water and poison at the same time. Growth becomes impossible because doubt corrodes the vibrational field before it can bloom. This saboteur is invisible because often you don't even realize you are feeding it. Doubt disguises itself as realism, as prudence, even as responsibility. But behind this disguise lies the voice of fear which constantly whispers, "What if I can't?" Imagine an actor rehearsing for a play, but repeating in his mind, "I'm going to forget the lines, I'm going to fail, I'll disappoint." Even with talent and dedication, the energy he projects already sabotages his performance. With abundance, the same thing happens. You ask for prosperity, but your body vibrates failure. Science has already shown that emotions of fear and anxiety activate the same alert system the body uses in threatening situations. In other words, when you think about money and feel tightness in your chest, the universe understands that you are in survival mode. And prosperity can never flourish on the ground of survival. Abundance is expansion, and expansion requires inner security. That is why Abraham Hicks insists that you must feel good first, because feeling is the key that opens the door, and doubt is the lock that keeps it closed. Perhaps you have already experienced this without realizing it. How many times have you started a project full of enthusiasm, but when telling someone and receiving a look of distrust, all your energy collapsed? That look is not what blocks you, but the doubt it activated inside you. The universe does not respond to others' judgment, but it responds immediately to what you feel after the judgment. And that is exactly where the invisible saboteur acts, transforming enthusiasm into hesitation, confidence into fear, vision into discouragement. The antidote to this mistake is not pretending there is no fear, but recognizing it when it appears and not identifying with it. When doubt arises, instead of thinking, "This means it won't work," you can say, "This is only an echo of my old vibration, but it does not define my future." Abundance comes when you understand that insecurity is only a shadow projected by the past, and when you choose to feel safe, even without external proof, the shadow disappears. This is the turning point, transforming fear into a reminder that you are on the path, not into a sign of giving up. The second mistake is the emotional prison, waiting for money to arrive before allowing yourself to feel good. This mistake is one of the cruelest because it traps a person in a cycle that never completes. The mind believes the natural order is, first I receive, then I breathe relieved. First the account fills, then I relax. First the result appears, then I allow myself to feel abundance. But the universe works in the opposite order. It does not deliver abundance to those who wait. It delivers to those who already vibrate abundance. It is like trying to light a fireplace without fire. You say, "When the flames appear, I'll put the wood." But the wood is precisely the fuel that creates the fire. Emotion is the wood. Reality is only the flame that arises afterwards. The problem is that we were trained from childhood to believe that feelings need external evidence to exist. You can only be happy if you have a reason, only be calm if everything is solved, only be confident if you have already won. This logic makes sense for the rational mind, but in the vibrational field it is a silent poison, because while you wait to feel rich, what vibrates now is lack. And the universe does not respond to what you plan to feel tomorrow, it responds to what you feel today. That is why so many people spend their whole lives almost there, always waiting for the check, the promotion, the miracle, but never freeing themselves from the emotional prison they themselves built. Imagine a farmer looking at the land. He says, "When I see the wheat, then I will water it." Ridiculous, isn't it? But that is exactly how many treat abundance. They want the harvest before the care. They want the result before the vibration. But the land does not work that way, and neither does the universe. You need to water before you see any sprout. You need to vibrate appreciation, gratitude, and joy before the money appears. Because it is not money that creates the emotional state. It is the emotional state that opens the door to money. The mistake is in inverting the order, and this inversion imprisons more than any debt. A simple example shows how this manifests. You may be at home worried about debts and at the same time holding a hot cup of coffee in your hands. If you immerse yourself in that small experience, smell the aroma, enjoy the taste, feel gratitude for that moment, your vibration changes immediately. Money has not yet entered your account, but your energy has already moved toward abundance. And what seems like a small practice is actually a quantum key. Because vibration does not wait for circumstances. It creates circumstances. But those who make this mistake spend their lives waiting to feel only afterwards, and that after never comes. The way to free yourself from this emotional prison is to consciously reverse the order. It is not pretending that everything is fine, nor denying problems, but choosing to feel abundance now in small doses. Choose a memory that warms your heart, a detail that brings gratitude, a vision that awakens hope. These small acts are vibrational seeds that, when cultivated, make it impossible for reality not to change. Because vibration is the cause, and reality is only the effect. When you understand this, you no longer wait for the future to feel good. You begin to create the future by feeling good now. The third mistake is premature breaking, giving up too soon, and letting reality control your vibration. This is perhaps the most painful mistake, because it happens exactly when abundance is about to manifest. Most people do not realize that current reality is only a delayed reflection of past vibration. In other words, what you live today is a consequence of feelings and thoughts you cultivated yesterday. But since we don't understand this delay, we look at the empty bank account and think, it's not working, nothing will change. At that moment, the energy that was about to bloom is cut off, like a tree felled just when it was going to bear fruit. The rupture happens not because there was no response, but because you gave up too soon. Giving up is like pulling out a plant still germinating, trying to check if the root is growing. Imagine a farmer digging up the soil every week to see if the seed gave signs. He destroys precisely what he asked the land to create. The same thing happens with vibration. You ask for prosperity, you begin to feel confident, but when nothing changes immediately, you dig the emotional soil with doubt and disbelief. This silent gesture cancels months of cultivation. The energy was inches from breaking through the soil, but it was suffocated by impatience. The error is not in the seed nor the soil, but in the premature breaking that you yourself cause. Another clear example is when you begin practicing gratitude and suddenly an unexpected expense arises. At that moment, the mind screams, "See, it didn't work at all." But that expense is not proof of failure. It is only a vibrational remnant of the past. The new manifestation is still on its way, but you give up because you believe the present is the final sentence. And here is the revelation. The current reality is not the judge, it is only the delay. It is like watching the sunset reflected in a mirror. The reflection you see has already happened. It is not happening now. But if you believe the reflection is final, you never experience the new dawn that has already been created. Abraham Hicks calls this letting what is control your vibration. And that is exactly what imprisons so many people. They look outward, Do not like what they see, and allow that reflection to determine how they will feel. But if you let the reflection dictate your emotion, you never change the projected image. The trick is to invert it. Choose the emotion even when reality does not yet match. This is not illusion, it is vibrational science. It is like the conductor who continues to lead the music, even when the orchestra has not yet hit the notes. He knows tuning comes after the baton, and you are that conductor of your reality. Vibrational patience is the key that prevents this mistake. It is trusting the invisible even when everything around insists on denying it. It is saying to yourself, what I am living now is only the echo of the past, not the foreshadowing of the future. When you sustain vibration despite circumstances, you create a field so stable that reality has no choice but to align. Premature breaking only happens when you forget this natural delay. But when you understand that the universe never fails, you stop digging the soil and start trusting. And here is the most important part. It is not enough to just recognize these mistakes. You must learn to consciously correct them every day. Because doubt, waiting, and giving up do not disappear on their own. They need to be replaced by practices that realign your vibration with abundance. The good news is this process is not complicated. On the contrary, it is simple, accessible, and can start right now. And that is exactly what we will talk about now. How to transform these invisible saboteurs into fuel to attract prosperity. The first way to correct the 3 mistakes is to understand that alignment does not happen instantly and definitively, but rather as a daily training, an exercise of awareness that gradually shapes your frequency. The secret is not perfection, but consistency. Instead of waiting for radical changes, start with small adjustments that already alter your internal state. When you feel insecurity coming, do not fight it, but recognize, this is only a vibrational remnant, not my truth. By naming the invisible saboteur, you take away its power to silently control your energy. This simple act already interrupts a cycle that had been repeating without you realizing. The second practical movement is to consciously reverse the order of your emotional life. If before you said, when I have, I will feel good, now the rule is, when I feel good, I will have. This can be done in minimal but consistent gestures. For example, if money has not yet arrived, choose to feel the vibration of abundance in something small, the taste of a sweet fruit, the pleasure of a good conversation, the sensation of wind on your face. These details activate the same frequency of prosperity because they are forms of sensory and emotional wealth. When you train your mind to see richness in the simple, you create such a stable vibrational base that financial flow can no longer be blocked. Another powerful practice is to use imagination, not as an escape, but as a vibrational tool. Many people visualize as if they were begging, which only reinforces the distance from what they want. The secret is to imagine as someone who experiences, not as someone who asks. Close your eyes and feel the texture of bills in your hands. Hear the sound of a door opening into a new home. Sense the lightness of signing a bill without worry. The more detailed the feeling, the more real it becomes to the body. And here is the revelation. The brain does not distinguish between what you imagine intensely and what you live physically. Vibrationally, both are reality. Daily appreciation practices also work as an alignment compass. Upon waking, write 3 things you are genuinely grateful for, and throughout the day take small pauses to breathe deeply and appreciate what exists now. It is not about denying problems, but about training your body to recognize wealth even amid chaos. It is like adjusting a camera lens. You may have the whole scene before you, but if the focus is on the problem, that is what appears clear. By shifting the focus to gratitude, the colors change, the scene changes, and inevitably your vibration also changes. This simple habit creates deep roots of abundance within you. Finally, the most practical way to correct the 3 mistakes is to create a short and light vibrational routine that fits your day effortlessly. When you wake up, choose a thought that makes you smile. In the middle of the day, take a deep breath and imagine a future already fulfilled. Before sleeping, thank for something that is already yours today. These small rituals, when repeated, form a stable, energetic field like a river that, drop by drop, becomes a current. And the most beautiful part is that you no longer need to force abundance. It begins to flow naturally because you stopped living in mistakes and started living in alignment. And this is where the next step is born, learning to maintain this stable alignment even in the face of challenges. Correcting mistakes is powerful, but the real challenge is to remain aligned when life begins to test you, and it always will. It is like learning to ride a bike. At first, you need constant attention, but over time, balance becomes natural. The secret is not to avoid relapses, but to learn to get up quickly when they happen. Because the universe does not demand vibrational perfection, it demands constancy. If you realize you fell into doubt or fear, but return to confidence right after, you are already training your vibration to become increasingly stable. Maintenance begins right here, in how you deal with stumbles. One of the most common mistakes in maintenance is turning practices into a heavy obligation. Many people start excited, but soon feel they need to force gratitude, visualization, or appreciation, and this generates even more anxiety. But abundance does not flourish in tense effort, it flourishes in lightness. The key is to make the practice fun and enjoyable, something that naturally awakens good feelings. It can be dancing to a song you love, walking in nature, writing hopeful thoughts, or even smiling alone remembering something simple. All of this is vibrational practice, as long as it is authentic. Another crucial point is to learn to interpret challenges as reminders, not setbacks. When a difficulty appears, instead of thinking, "I lost my alignment," you can see it as a message from the universe. Here is an opportunity to practice. This shift in perspective makes even problems allies in your growth. Abraham Hicks calls this using contrast to your advantage. Contrast reveals where you can still expand, and when you are grateful even for challenging situations, you transform stones into steps. This is the mark of someone who not only attracted abundance, but learned to maintain it. Maintenance also requires that you build unshakable trust in the process, and that trust grows when you collect evidence. Go back in your memory and remember when something unlikely happened. Unexpected money, an opportunity that appeared without warning, a meeting that opened doors. These moments were not luck, they were vibrational responses. When you recall these experiences, you strengthen your faith, and the more faith you feel, the faster new evidence appears. This creates a virtuous cycle. Your trust generates manifestations, and manifestations reinforce your trust. This cycle is the foundation of vibrational stability. Finally, remember that prosperity is not a destination, it is a daily practice of alignment. It is not about conquering something out there, but about being the channel of abundance now, in each breath, in each gesture. When you understand this, you are never again a hostage of circumstances. You know you can align at any moment, because abundance does not depend on the external world. It depends on the frequency you choose to sustain. And when that choice becomes natural, there is no longer a way to fall into past mistakes. You no longer live in the struggle to attract, you live in the flow that already naturally attracts. And this, my love, is true freedom. Now you know that scarcity is not the result of bad luck, fate, or a contrary force, but of three invisible mistakes that most people make without realizing. The first is allowing insecurity, doubt, and fear to silently sabotage your requests. The second is falling into the emotional prison of waiting to feel good only after money arrives. And the third is breaking the cycle too soon, giving up when the current reality insists on contradicting your faith. These three errors together create a misaligned vibrational field, and the universe can only reflect exactly that. But today you also discovered how to break this cycle, naming fear to take away its power, choosing to feel rich now even in small things, and sustaining trust even when the reflection of the past still appears. And more than that, you learned that maintenance is the key to never again falling into these traps. Abundance is not a race nor a distant conquest, it is a state of daily alignment, a choice you can make with every breath. And when that choice becomes natural, prosperity ceases to be a dream and becomes an inevitable consequence. Now I want you to make a pact with the universe. Right here in the comments, I choose to align my vibration with abundance. This sentence is not just a comment, it is a sign, an energetic signature that declares you will no longer allow these mistakes to rule your life. Like this video, share it with someone you feel needs to hear this, and above all, subscribe to the channel, because this is just the beginning. In the next video, I will reveal something even deeper: how to raise your frequency, in such a way that money, opportunities, and even love will have no choice but to find you. If this video opened your eyes to invisible mistakes, the next will open the doors of abundance once and for all. Don't miss it.